we had the album title quite, well, relatively early on. It was like, that's great. And then we, for some reason, because it's, you know, the Keane way, and we don't like to, anything that's too easy must be, you know, feel a bit dangerous. Yeah. We sort of argued about it for 2 months, and then eventually remembered that it was exactly the right album title for what we were trying to say.
I think emotionally things are never black and white, you know, and I think that's partly what the album, or a lot of what the album says to me on an emotional level. It's never quite as simple as you want it to be. It's always stranger, it's always skewed.
Spring 2010, I remember getting really into the writing of what's now Strangeland, and yeah, feeling very inspired by the kind of the springtime and the summer. And then last year, sort of basically from the, you know, New Year's Day 2011, we were into rehearsing and recording. Throughout the process of making the record, from the writing onwards, we felt that we wanted to be constantly kind of pulling people in and keeping them interested and excited. So the sequencing of the album is a really crucial part of that, and I think it does flow really nicely. I love the way Black Rain sort of takes you off on a weird tangent halfway through.
When we made Hopes and Fears, we were kind of shacked up in Tim's mum and dad's house, and we did a lot of rehearsing there. And it was, I think instinctively, there was a part of us that felt we wanted to go back to that, and Tim's studio was kind of like a 100 times better version of being in that situation. It was lovely having that kind of space to rehearse and record.
I just remember when we used to rehearse at my mum and dad's house, we kept melting the fuse bulb.
Yeah, I feel like we've gone to a lot of places musically as a band. One thing we always felt, you know, one thing that kind of united us as a band and as musicians was a love of kind of always wanting to evolve and change, loving those kind of artists who refuse to kind of just churn out the same record over and over again.
I think that because we've been making music together for such a long time, you know, all the sort of the way we've developed musically, for both of us, it's always been intertwined. So, you know, I've sort of seen all the phases of Tom's musical development, and he's seen all the phases of mine. And when I write songs or do a demo of a song where I'm singing, it doesn't always sound very good because I'm writing it knowing that at some point down the line Tom will be able to sing it and make that sort of crazy melody sound good in a way that I can't.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, of all the millions of fans of Keane that there are around the world, and the millions of fans of Tim's songwriting, I would say that hands down I'm still the biggest of those fans. So I'm always incredibly excited to sing the new songs.
Open my eyes, everything shines. We swim as the breeze blows down the coast.
Jesse getting involved felt like a natural progression, really. I don't think it ever felt difficult. I think there was something about having kind of forged our way with the three of us. So I think there was a part of us that was kind of fiercely protective about what we'd created, you know. But at the same time, logistically and musically, it was quite frustrating at times not to have that extra person. Yeah, I feel like there's almost no point in being a band unless when you come together and make music, you do become more than the sum of your parts, you know. And I think that it feels to me like that's what we managed to achieve.
Well, playing in Bexhill was a really big thing for us. Because I think, you know, people people enjoy being part of the beginning of something in a way. So it felt like starting on a journey together with all the people in the room, rather than kind of being thrust back into the spotlight and feeling very foolish.
I think the other thing about those shows, because again with Perfect Symmetry, it was very much a studio record that was then rehearsed into shape for live after we'd recorded it. So with this one, because we kind of knew the songs in a live format already, really, so it was it felt a lot more simple to play them
out.
Yeah.
We go down to the rides on East Parade.
The strength, I think, of the album is that there's no filler on it, as opposed to it being, here's an album, here's a blank canvas and we've got to fill it with 10 songs. It was more that Tim went away and was just writing and writing and writing, so there were nearly 100 songs. Initially we said, well, we don't want anything longer than a 10-song album. We thought 10 was enough songs, but we felt so in love with all the 12 songs and more, really, that have gone on the record, that it was very hard to leave things off. It felt to me like when we came to make this record, all of us really knew what we're best at. And it feels like if there is a time that we've reached the peak of our powers as musicians, and this may be it, you know. I think the record kind of reflects that sort of assurance somehow.
You know, I feel like we've kind of been bouncing back and forth, trying to say the right thing in the right way, and I'm sure we'll keep doing that. I hope we do. But it definitely, at this moment, it feels like what we all wanted and what we were playing and what we were writing about all came together, and there's this sort of great unity of I don't know, creative force, I suppose, that just says everything the way we wanted to say it, and that's a great feeling.